Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever looked at a woman, maybe in a cafe in London, maybe walking down the street in Manchester, maybe even lying next to you in bed and thought to yourself, what actually turns her on? What makes her heart race, her body react, her mind obsessed? Here's the truth. Most men will go their entire lives without ever knowing the answer. They chase, they try, they fail, and they never realize that women are not turned on the way men are. It's not just about looks or money or smooth lines. It's about something far deeper, something forbidden that taps into her psychology, into her hidden desires she won't even admit to her best friend. And here's the dangerous part. If you don't understand these secrets, you'll always feel like you're guessing. You'll always wonder why she pulled away, why she went cold, why she never looked at you the same way again. But if you do understand them, if you master them, it's like flipping a switch in her mind. Suddenly, you become the man she can't stop thinking about. The man she craves when she's alone. The man she wants more than anyone else. Before we dive in, I want you to do one thing. Think back to a woman you've been with, or maybe just the one you can't stop thinking about right now. Remember the way her eyes looked at you the first time. Remember the way her breathing changed when she leaned in close. Remember how her heart seemed to beat faster when your energy shifted. Got it? Hold on to that memory. Because as you hear these secrets, you're going to see patterns you've never noticed before. And when you do, you'll realize something powerful. It wasn't random. It wasn't an accident. It was psychology. It was attraction. It was her deepest wiring being pulled like strings you never knew existed. And once you know these 5 forbidden secrets, you'll never see women the same way again. Secret 1, the power of controlled dominance. Have you ever noticed how some men, without raising their voices, without slamming fists on the table, can instantly command a room? You see it in a classy bar in London or even at a quiet Oxford cafe. A man speaks calmly, confidently, with just the right tone and everyone pays attention. That's not arrogance. That's not brute force. That's what I call controlled dominance. And it is one of the most powerful secrets that instantly turn women on. Here's the truth. Women aren't drawn to wild, chaotic dominance. They don't want the man who yells at a waiter or flexes aggressively in front of other guys. No, that type of energy actually makes her feel unsafe. What women are instinctively turned on by is a man who holds power without losing control. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're on a date with a beautiful woman in a cozy London restaurant near Covent Garden. The waiter makes a mistake with the order. Most men would either brush it off, nervously afraid to cause a scene, or they'd explode, raising their voice and embarrassing everyone at the table. But you lean back, smile slightly, and in a calm, firm tone you say, "Excuse me, I actually ordered the steak medium rare. Could you please bring the right one when you get the chance?" No anger, no panic, no overreaction. Just certainty, just control. Now here's the psychology behind why that's so attractive. Women are wired to look for 2 things in a man: strength and stability. Strength, because it signals protection and capability. Stability, because it signals safety and composure. When you show controlled dominance, you deliver both at once. You're strong enough to take charge, but stable enough not to lose yourself in the process. Controlled dominance is subtle. It's in the way you order a drink, the way you choose a table, the way you make decisions. It's in your tone, deep, steady, and unshaken. It's in your posture, shoulders back, relaxed but firm. It's in your eye contact, holding her gaze without flinching, then breaking it with ease like you're fully in control of where your attention goes. And here's the kicker. Women feel it before they think it. Her body responds before her mind even catches up. Her pulse quickens. She finds herself leaning closer, intrigued by your composure. It's not about the steak. It's not about the waiter. It's about the fact that you've just signaled, without a single ounce of aggression, that you are a man who can lead, decide, and protect. Let's take another example. You're walking with her through the busy streets of Manchester on a Saturday evening. The crowd is thick, people bumping shoulders. Instead of nervously weaving behind her or pushing ahead recklessly, you lightly place your hand at the small of her back, guide her through the crowd smoothly, and keep your calm stride. That one subtle move screams dominance, but in a controlled, protective way. She doesn't feel trapped. She feels safe. She feels guided. She feels turned on. Controlled dominance doesn't just live in big moments, it lives in the everyday. choosing the restaurant instead of saying, "I don't know, you pick." Taking the lead in conversation instead of waiting for her to carry it. Even in small acts, like holding doors or confidently introducing her to your friends, you show you're a man who isn't afraid of leading. But here's where most men fail. They confuse dominance with control over her. That's not the secret. Controlled dominance is never about dominating the woman. It's about dominating yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your environment. And when she sees that, she feels something primal, something her psychology is wired to respond to. Ask any woman in London, Oxford, or Cambridge, and she won't tell you she wants a man who shouts or sulks. She'll say she wants a man who makes her feel secure yet excited. And that security-excitement mix? It's born from controlled dominance. So remember this. Women don't fall for men who try to overpower. They fall for men who don't need to try, because their calm confidence already speaks louder than words. Secret 2, the magnetic pull of mystery. Now let me take you into another forbidden truth. Mystery is magnetic. It's one of those psychological triggers that women can't resist. And the fascinating thing? It's not about what you reveal. It's about what you hold back. Think of it like this. Imagine you're at a rooftop bar in London overlooking the Thames. You meet a man who, within minutes, tells you everything about his job, his family, his ex-girlfriends, his salary, even his childhood dog. By the end of that conversation, there's nothing left to wonder. You already know the whole story. And guess what? The excitement is gone. Now imagine a different man. He talks about his travels, but not in detail. He mentions Paris in the spring, but doesn't explain who he went with. He shares a story about a wild night in Manchester, then smirks and says, "I'll tell you that one another time." He leaves gaps. He leaves room for curiosity. And suddenly, you can't stop thinking about him. You want to know more. You lean in, hanging on every word. That, my friend, is the magnetic pull of mystery. Here's the psychology behind it. Female attraction thrives on imagination. Women's minds are naturally wired to explore, to wonder, to connect dots. When you reveal everything too quickly, you rob her of the chance to imagine. But when you hold back, when you pace yourself, and when you let her curiosity fill in the blanks, her imagination works overtime. And her imagination will almost always make you 10 times more attractive than reality. Mystery doesn't mean being shady. It doesn't mean lying or playing games. It simply means pacing your story. It means not handing over the entire book on the first date. It means sharing just enough to spark her interest, then letting her chase for the rest. Think of James Bond. Think of how he walks into a room. He doesn't blurt out his life story. He gives pieces, a hint of danger, a trace of charm, a past you'll never fully uncover. And what happens? Women across England and beyond are glued to him, not because of what he says, but because of what he doesn't. Now let me give you a real-life picture. You're at a quiet cafe in Oxford, chatting with a woman who studies literature at the university. She asks what you do for work. Instead of giving her a 10-minute breakdown of your job title, your boss's name and your daily tasks, you simply smile and say, "I work in finance. Keeps me busy, but it gives me plenty of interesting stories. Maybe I'll share one over a glass of wine sometime." Boom, that's mystery. You didn't lie. You didn't hide. You just gave her a teaser. And now she's hooked because you left her wanting more. Mystery also lives in your behavior. When you don't answer texts instantly, when you don't explain every detail of your day, when you carry yourself with a quiet confidence that says, "There's more to me than you." See right now, that subtle restraint pulls her in deeper. And here's something fascinating. Women often bond with each other over trying to figure a man out. When you're mysterious, she'll think about you long after you've left, even bringing your name up to her friends. She'll replay conversations in her head, wondering what you meant. That obsession? That's attraction in its purest form. So here's the takeaway. Mystery is not about hiding. It's about revealing wisely. It's about sparking her imagination, letting her curiosity do half the work for you. And once you master it, you'll notice something incredible. Women won't just want to talk to you, they'll want to chase you. Secret 3, emotional presence that women crave. Here's the truth that almost every man in London, Oxford, or Manchester gets wrong. Women are not obsessed with a man just because he looks good, has money, or drives a fancy car. Those things might spark attention, but they don't build obsession. What truly pulls a woman deep? What makes her mind replay you at night, and her heart race when she sees your name on her phone, is something far simpler yet far rarer: emotional presence. Now let's be honest. How many times have you seen a man sitting with a stunning woman in a restaurant in Mayfair, yet his eyes keep drifting to his phone? He nods, he smiles, but he's not really there. Do you think she feels special? Do you think she feels connected? Not at all. What she feels is invisible. Replace him with another man who leans in, listens with intensity, asks questions, reacts with genuine emotion. Suddenly, the same woman feels lit up, alive, drawn in. That's the secret. Emotional presence isn't about being soft or overly sensitive. It's about showing her that when you're with her, you are with her, fully, no distractions, no mental wandering, just grounded attention. Women crave this because in a world full of men who are half present, half distracted, the man who is fully present feels like oxygen. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you're on a date in a quiet Oxford pub. She's telling you about her childhood summers in Cornwall, the way she and her sister would build sandcastles on the beach. Most men would just nod politely, waiting for their turn to speak. But you lean in, your eyes locked on hers, and you ask, did you ever feel like those moments made you see life differently? Like you learned something about yourself there? That one question shows her you're not just listening to words, you're connecting to feelings. Suddenly, she feels like you see her in a way most men never will. That right there is emotional presence. And here's where psychology kicks in. Women's brains are wired to value connection and emotional intelligence. When you give emotional presence, you're speaking directly to the part of her that craves intimacy and safety. You're not just another guy who talks. You're the rare man who gets it. And when she feels that, attraction multiplies tenfold. But here's the challenge. Emotional presence requires discipline. It means putting the phone down. It means resisting the urge to check the match score from Manchester United or to think about tomorrow's meeting. It means grounding yourself fully in the now. This is why so few men master it, because presence is rare. And yet this rarity is exactly why it works. When a woman feels your full focus, she feels prioritized. She feels like in that moment, nothing else in the world matters but her. That kind of feeling is unforgettable. That's what keeps her thinking about you long after the date ends. Think about your own past. Was there ever a time you were speaking to someone and you just felt they weren't really there? How did that feel? Now flip it. Was there ever a moment someone looked into your eyes, listened deeply, made you feel like the only person in the world? Remember how powerful that was? That's what women crave. So here's the challenge for you. Next time you sit across from a woman in a London cafe or walk with her along the canals in Birmingham, give her more than words. Give her presence. Make her feel like the rest of the world has paused, and the only thing alive in that moment is the connection between you and her. That, my friend, is the kind of secret that turns attraction into obsession. Secret 4, the teasing confidence game. Now let's talk about something that makes younger women giggle, blush, and chase older men without even realizing why. Teasing confidence. See, most men either play it too safe, being overly polite, afraid to say anything bold, or they go too far, trying to impress with crude jokes or arrogance. But the older man who knows how to tease, with charm and confidence, creates something irresistible. It's playful, it's fun, and it makes her feel like she's back in the giddy days of teenage attraction. But with the maturity and security that only a confident man can give. Picture this. You're walking through the streets of Cambridge with a younger woman. She's telling you about her obsession with oat milk lattes. Instead of just nodding and saying, "That's nice," you smile and say, "Oat milk?" You strike me as the type who orders it just to look trendy. Bet you don't even like the taste. You deliver it with a grin, with warmth, not cruelty. She laughs, lightly pushes your arm, and suddenly, there's chemistry. That's teasing confidence. It's the art of playfully challenging her in a way that excites her. It's not about putting her down. It's about showing her you're not afraid of her beauty, her age, or her presence. Most younger women are used to men either worshiping them or nervously stumbling around them. But when you tease with charm, you separate yourself instantly. And the psychology? Simple. Teasing creates tension, and tension is the spark of attraction. It flips her brain into a playful mode where she feels both challenged and intrigued. It tells her, "I see you, I'm not intimidated, and I can handle you." That combination is intoxicating. But here's the mistake men make. They confuse teasing with mocking. True teasing is always lighthearted, never cruel. It's about pulling her closer, not pushing her away. You don't say, "That's stupid." You say, "Oh, so you're one of those oat milk people? I should have guessed." Delivered with a smile. It's fun. It's flirtation disguised as banter. And the magic lies in balance. Tease too much and it feels like you're insecure. Tease too little and it feels like you're dull. But tease just enough and suddenly she's hooked. She's laughing, she's blushing, and most importantly, she's engaged. Let me take you to a London rooftop bar. She's wearing a stunning red dress. Instead of just complimenting her like every other man would, you smirk and say, "Red dress, huh? You really came here to cause trouble tonight, didn't you?" She laughs, her cheeks flush, and she feels like you see not just her looks but her playful side. That's the power of teasing confidence. It's not just words, it's energy. It's how you carry yourself, how you look at her, how you deliver the line with a smile that says, "I know what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying this." Women crave this energy because it breaks the script. It takes the interaction from boring to electric. Ask any woman in London or Manchester and she'll tell you. The man who makes her laugh. The man who makes her blush. The man who makes her feel playful again. That's the man she remembers. Not the one who just nodded politely. Not the one who tried too hard. The one who teased with confidence. So remember this. Teasing is not about words, it's about creating moments. It's about sparking emotions. It's about showing her that you're comfortable enough in yourself to play, to laugh, to flirt without fear. Do that. And you won't just turn her on. You'll leave her addicted to your presence. Secret 5. The mystery that pulls her in. Here's something most men in London, Birmingham or Manchester never fully grasp. Women don't just fall for what they can see. They fall for what they can wonder about. And that's where mystery comes in. Mystery is not about playing childish games or being deliberately confusing. No, mystery is about giving her enough to stay intrigued, while leaving just enough unsaid, so her mind keeps chasing you even when you're not around. Think about it. Why do movies keep us glued to the screen? Because of suspense. Why do books become page-turners? Because you don't know what's coming next. Human brains are wired to be hooked by the unknown, and women, especially younger women, are no exception. When you master mystery, you create that same irresistible pull in her psychology. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're at a dinner in Mayfair with a woman who is used to men oversharing, trying desperately to impress her with every detail of their job, money, or travels. Now you, on the other hand, keep things intriguing. She asks, "Have you ever been in love before?" Most men would jump into a long story, spilling out everything. But you smile slightly, hold her gaze, and say, "Once, but that's a story for another time." Boom. In that single moment, you plant a seed of curiosity in her mind that will keep her awake at night. That's the magic of mystery. It's not about lying, not about hiding. It's about controlling the flow of information. So she's always chasing, always wondering, always intrigued. And the psychology backs it up. Dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical, spikes when we anticipate something, not when we already have it, but when we expect it. Mystery leverages that anticipation. By not revealing everything at once, you create a psychological loop where her brain craves more of you. Think about men who have it all on display. Flashy cars in Chelsea, endless social media posts in Kensington, talking nonstop about their careers in finance or law. Sure, it catches attention for a moment, but it burns out quickly. There's no tension, no chase, no discovery. But then think about the man who reveals himself layer by layer, who makes her earn his stories, his affection, his attention. That man becomes unforgettable. Let's make it practical. Mystery can be created in small moments. When you talk about your life, don't give a full list of accomplishments. Give a glimpse, then move on. If she asks what your weekend plans are, don't say, "I'm just watching football at home." Instead say, "Let's just say I've got something interesting lined up. You'll hear about it soon." Delivered with a confident smile, that small detail makes her think about you all weekend. But mystery isn't just about words. It's about your energy. The man who is mysterious doesn't seek validation. He doesn't rush to prove himself. He doesn't dump his emotions on the table the first chance he gets. He's calm, collected, and selective with his presence. And women feel that. Here's a real example. A friend of mine in London, let's call him James, was constantly struggling with women in his 20s because he overshared. Every date turned into a monologue about his job in tech, his gym routine, his travels. Women were polite, but they rarely called back. Later in his 30s, he shifted his approach. He became more reserved, more playful with his answers, less eager to sell himself. Suddenly, women leaned in, asked more, chased him for details. The difference? Mystery. And let's be clear. Mystery doesn't mean being boring or silent. It means being deliberate. Share stories with depth, but don't give the whole book in one sitting. Drop hints, let her imagination run wild. Let her work for your attention. That's what creates obsession. So next time you're walking with a woman, down the streets of Oxford or sitting with her at a cafe in Manchester, don't be the man who lays everything out instantly. Be the man who leaves her thinking, what else don't I know about him? Because when her mind is chasing you in silence, that's when she's hooked. Secret 6, the touch that sparks desire. Now we step into the realm of something even more powerful, something that can shift a woman's entire emotional state in seconds. The art of touch. And no, I'm not talking about being physical too fast or crossing lines. I'm talking about subtle, respectful, yet intentional touches that awaken her psychology and create deep, undeniable attraction. See, women live in a world where men either avoid touch altogether, out of fear, insecurity, or shyness, or they go too far, too fast, making her uncomfortable. But the older man who understands the psychology of touch knows exactly how to walk that fine line, creating an electric connection that makes her heart race and her body crave more. Imagine this. You're walking through Regent's Park in London on a breezy evening. She makes a joke and you lightly touch her arm as you laugh. Just a moment, gentle, natural, playful. Do you know what happens in her mind? Her body registers safety and chemistry at the same time. That one touch communicates confidence, intimacy, and presence. It tells her without words, I'm comfortable with you, and I make you feel comfortable too. The psychology behind it is fascinating. Human touch releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That's the same chemical that floods a mother's brain when holding her child, or couples who are deeply in love. When you use touch correctly, you're literally triggering her brain to associate you with intimacy and closeness. But here's the secret. The most powerful touches are not the obvious ones. They're the subtle, casual, almost accidental ones. A light brush of her hand as you pass her a drink in a Manchester bar. A guiding hand on her lower back as you walk through the busy streets of London. A playful tap on her arm when you tease her about her choice of coffee. These small touches create sparks that grow into fire. And this is where older men have the advantage. Younger men often rush, desperate to close the gap too soon. But the older man knows patience. He knows that the slow build is more powerful than rushing in. Women feel this maturity. They feel that you're in control, not desperate, not needy, but confident enough to let the tension rise. Now there's a golden rule here. Every touch must feel natural. Forced touch kills attraction. If she feels like you're using touch as a tactic, the magic is gone. But when it flows with the energy of the moment, when it matches the vibe of the conversation, it feels exciting, not intrusive. Let's take another example. You're sitting across from her at a restaurant in Mayfair. She's telling you about a funny story from her university days. As she laughs, you reach across the table, touch her hand for a brief moment, and say, I can totally see you doing that. That single gesture says more than 1,000 words. It communicates warmth, safety, connection. And here's what most men miss. Women remember touches far more than they remember words. You could tell her she's beautiful 100 times, and she'll smile politely. But the memory of your hand brushing against hers, the electricity of that moment, that will stay with her long after the night ends. Think back to your own life. Have you ever had a moment where someone touched you? Just a simple, light touch and you felt a spark? You didn't plan it, you didn't expect it, but you couldn't forget it. That's the exact experience women crave. So here's the truth. If you want to move beyond attraction and into obsession, learn the art of subtle, confident, respectful touch. Do it in a way that feels natural, not forced. Do it with timing, not haste. And most importantly, do it with presence, so she feels that every touch is real, intentional, and meaningful. Because at the end of the day, women don't just remember what you said or what you did. They remember how you made them feel. And nothing makes a woman feel more connected, more alive, and more drawn in than the right touch at the right time. Conclusion. So let's recap. The 5 forbidden secrets that instantly turn women on are 1. The power of controlled dominance. 2. The magnetic pull of mystery. 3. The shock of unexpected boldness. 4. The deep attraction of emotional control. 5. The irresistible power of sexual subcommunication. Each one of these secrets taps into female psychology at a level most men will never understand. And once you master them, you'll stop chasing women, and women will start chasing you. Remember, these are not tricks to manipulate. They're truths about attraction. Use them with respect, use them with wisdom, and you'll unlock a side of female desire you never thought possible. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.